Hello, Year 9. Back again for more adventures on a Saturday evening. So this discussion is going to be about length and perimeter. I shouldn't need to do this in huge detail for you guys because I believe that most of you should be okay with it. So let's try and keep this under 10 minutes. So first of all, you should be able to recognise units that are used for measuring length. They include things like millimetres, centimetres, meters and kilometers. Centimeters is probably the weirdest measurement we do because most measurements, the conversions are in thousands, while the centimeter sits oddly between millimeter and meter, which is part of why I presume that builders tend to not use it. So you don't want to get confused between centimeters and other measurements. So you need to remember the worm in some form or another, how to actually move between these. So normally I get you guys to fill that out more or less. How many millimeters is in a centimeter? You should be able to tell me 10. How many centimeters is in a meter? You should be able to tell me 100 centimeters in a meter. And how many meters is in a kilometer? You should be able to tell me 1,000. So from there, general principle of unit conversions holds. If we're going to a bigger unit, it will be a smaller number. So I'm going to be dividing in this direction. Each time you go to a bigger unit, it will be a smaller number. On the other hand, when we go to a smaller unit, it's going to be a bigger number. So it's going to be multiplying in that direction. Generally, that works well for recreating these at any moment in time. So, bigger unit, smaller number, and smaller unit will be a bigger number. Right, so yeah, you do need to be able to convert between these things. So if I said, 873.2 millimeters, I said, well, what's that in centimeters? You should know that, to go to centimeters, it's going to be divide by 10. Right, going to a bigger unit, it will be a smaller number, divide by 10. It's going to land there, 87.32 centimetres. And you should be able to do generally conversions. 7.23 metres is how many millimetres? Again, it's going to a smaller unit, so it's going to be a bigger number. In that case, you'd be multiplying by 1,000. Did that quickly. So it'd be 3 decimal places, you'd land there. So it'll be 7 to 30 millimeters. Right, I'm not going to do more examples. To go forward and make sure you can do that. It's pretty well assumed knowledge at this stage. Now, second part of the lesson is essentially perimeter. Perimeter is merely distance around an object. The example, and those of you with keen eyesight or watching this in its full HD beauty, what more could you want? Isn't this fantastic? I really like this shirt. It's definitely my favourite. This tour has been a bit interrupted at the moment. Sir has not been rocking out as much as he should, which is probably good for my hearing. But anyway, not that you want me to hear you, but I do, and it's all really awkward, all these young persons' relationships and things, really awkward. Anyway, sorry, back to what we're doing. Perimeter is a distance around an object. Those with keen eyesight may have noticed that I've written a number there and a number there. I've sat here and measured with a good metal ruler the distance along here and the distance along here. So if I was to ask you, for example, what is the perimeter around my whiteboard here, I go, well, it's going to be 2 lots of that because I've got that side and this side, and it's going to be 2 lots of this because I've got that side and that side. So the perimeter of this whiteboard is going to be that. Oh, let's do that in our head, hey? That's much more fun. So that's 2 times 56.5 will be 113. 2 times 41.5 will be 83. We add them together, we get 196 centimetres. Isn't that fantastic? I'm always terrified of the possibility that I'm going to put this up on the internet, it's all going to be terribly wrong. So I just put that in my calculator to check. All good. Right, so the perimeter of my whiteboard here is only 196 centimetres. What are those big ones at school that we use? They're probably, I mean, that's nearly, oh, what's that in metres? You should be able to tell me. So divide by 100, that would be 1.96 metres. But you know, those, wow, it's longer than you'd think, isn't it? But you know, those ones we use at school, the perimeter there is probably approaching 20 metres. So yeah, not much of a perimeter here. So from there, let's do a couple of examples of perimeter and maybe some mysterious ones if we feel like it. But I am going to try and finish off in less than 4 minutes from now. So let's see how we go. I'm going to give you a weird object. I'm going to put those markers on them. Do you know what they mean? Hopefully you realise that means they're the same. And what do you reckon? Some more on here. So I'll call that 7.1 metres. I'll call this 9.4 metres. And you can be asked the perimeter. So you should be able to go, well, the perimeter is going to be 2 lots of 7.1 plus 3 lots of 9.4. That's what you're going to get if you walk around this. So that's 14.2 plus 28.2, which would give us 42.4, and remember your units. So the distance walking around that is going to be 42.4, assuming I didn't do anything really silly in those calculations in my head. No, it's all good. Right, that's how you find perimeter. And what should we give? No, let's do an interesting one where you have to find an unknown length in a perimeter question. So second question here can be Okay, I'm going to make that there. We're going to make that one the same length as that one, and it's going to be 7.4 millimeters, and I'm going to make this over here 10.3 millimeters, and this here is our unknown. All right, and for a question like this is, well, I'll call it X. And you'll be asked find X if the perimeter is, what am I going to make it? 37 millimeters, there we go. All right, so what you'd normally do here is you're going to state the perimeter equals all these sides added up. But we know what the perimeter is. So the perimeter is 37. So 37 is going to be 7.4 plus another 7.4. I could have written that as times 2. Plus 10.3 plus x. So it becomes an algebra problem. And that's what you should do. If you ever see the opportunity to define a variable, an unknown, as a prime numeral like x, and solve it that way, that's what you should do. It's cool. And it'll help you a lot in future adventures. You can combine all these things together. What's that? 14.8. 14.8, 25.1 plus x. So just added them together, 14.8, 24.8, 25.1. Now to get x by itself, I'd subtract 25.1 from both sides. Remember, the opposite of adding is subtracting. So that gives us x is, oh man, 11.9, and remember our units. So, you know, check I'm not completely losing it there. Yep, 11.9 millimeters. So that's it. Sometimes you can define a pronumeral and solve that way. That's it for today, guys. Length, remember your units, remember how to convert, remember perimeters of distance around things, and solve from there. Bye.